I'm here today with Boris Petrov from Remix. Boris, maybe you can tell us, first of all, a little bit about Remix and what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. Remix is actually right now the largest European second-hand online shop. So it's pretty obvious what we do. We sell clothes and accessories, but second-hand ones. And we do it all online. We've started 3 years ago, and we've already spread into 4 European countries, being we're a Bulgarian country, and we've already opened our markets into Greece, Romania, and Poland. Continue opening new markets, the biggest one being Germany, planned for now.
And what do you serve all of these countries in the local language, or how does that work?
Absolutely, yes. We've got native speakers in our customer service team for all those languages. So let me explain that I've started in Remix at the beginning of this year, first working day of 2016. And I came with quite a big experience from one of the... So Bulgaria is like the customer service heaven in Europe. It's rated top 3 as an outsourcing destination in the world, and it's rated top 1 in Europe. There's quite a few very big call centers in Bulgaria, and I come with an 8-year experience from one of those call centers. There's like about 1,500 people in there working with different companies. So I've worked with quite big companies, mainly UK-based and US-based, and I've got quite experience. So I came on board of Remix at the beginning of this year. So I've decided to start with the big stuff, the more important stuff, and those would have been to decide and purchase a ticketing system and then a telephony system or software. I've done my research. I've had quite a few conference calls with different companies because I know quite a few companies that offer such softwares. And I've decided to go ahead with Zendesk and then to partner up with you guys, with BABELFORCE, for our ticketing and telephony needs. And this has proven to be the right decision already. We've already had customers who are calling us and they're like, hi, I want to ask a question about my order. And my agents are saying like, yeah, just a second, let me open your order for you. And the customers are like, okay, but don't you need the order number or my name? And my agents can be like, no, I've already have this. Just give me a second and I'll be right with you. You can ignore all the spelling, all the possible mistakes you can do, and the customer experience is just far superior. It's amazing. In the meantime, what I've done, and this was again with the help of Will and the guys from Zendesk, was to integrate to our own ERP, all new accounts that are created on our website, as all the information is passed on to Zendesk, which means that whenever or if this customer calls on the next day, this would obviously automatically create a ticket, and then we would already have all the information about the customer, which customer is calling, and then some additional information about them, their latest order number, stuff like that, which is pretty neat. As I said, I've worked with quite a few companies worldwide and quite the big ones. And I can honestly say that not a lot of companies, unfortunately, go this far when it comes to customer service. We would have one customer with their email address, and then we would have all of their emails, phone calls, live chats, web forms, and social media posts or comments right below, right into their profile. So whatever way you choose to contact us, It all goes into one place. Everyone can see it. Everyone can check your history. Everyone knows who you are already. And obviously, this is great for both the customers themselves and for my team as well, because it makes their lives a lot easier. And then, because of the integration that we've done already, if the customer is calling from the telephone number that is registered into their account on our website,
okay,
then the call would not be just, the ticket would not just be created against a telephone number, but it would be created against this particular customer. So at the moment when you pick up the phone, you would already know the customer name, email address, latest order number, blah blah blah, a lot more information that you can decide which information to pass on to Zendesk. But BABELFORCE just takes the number and checks if it exists in Zendesk. If it does, it creates the tickets against this certain account. And this allows us to put all customer requests into one place, regardless of them being submitted through a phone call, book message, or a web form through our website, or wherever. It all goes into one place.
And it's interesting because you worked a long time in BPO, or in business process outsourcing, I guess, right, for big companies like you mentioned. And
Absolutely.
did you have the same kind of capabilities there to send data from all the channels into the agent systems? Or?
Working in a BPO call center would have meant that I've managed customer service teams that have been outsourced in Bulgaria, but for companies that are based in the UK and US mainly. But unfortunately, I've never seen such a build so far.
Okay. And on the integration of the telephony from BABELFORCE and Zendesk, did you do any coding to do that, or is that all configuration?
No coding at all. BABELFORCE is obviously created with an interface to be used directly. And BABELFORCE as a software, they offer you pretty much anything you can imagine. You can imagine you want to build for your customer service needs. Fortunately, I work directly with one of the owners of the company, and me and her, we both knew quite well what we want to achieve, the end result. And then once you do, you just start doing it. You get the support from Zendesk or from BABELFORCE. Anything you don't know, they'll tell you how to do it. Then you get more advanced with the system, and as Will told me, and then at a certain point you just start, you know how to do anything alone if you wish to change it. But yeah, you definitely need just to, whoever your director is or the owner of the company, or if it's just you just need to sit down and think what it is that they want to achieve at the end. And then once you know that, anything else can be done. It took me some time to start to transfer the first line into BABELFORCE. This was our Polish phone line. But the reason for that is not because it was too difficult to build. The reason for that is that I wanted to, because I'm not an IT guy myself, but still I wanted to kind of learn how to use BABELFORCE, because I know that the more I know about the system, the more tools I can build into it, and I can then administer the system myself, make any changes that I suddenly decide I need in a matter of seconds, and this will then greatly help me in the long term. So if I gave myself the time to kind of explore the system, I received an amazing support from you guys from BABELFORCE. This would be Will in this particular case, but I'm sure his colleagues are also the same.
It's Will Connor from our delivery team, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Will Connor, yeah. He's a great guy. And then at the end, the day we transferred our Polish line, Will told me, you're now fairly advanced with your knowledge for BABELFORCE. And then I was happy because I can now do quite a lot. And if I decide to change my IVR in a certain way, or I don't know, whatever, BABELFORCE allows you to do anything in a matter of seconds. It's just a matter of you getting to know the system a little bit. This would be when a customer calls in, they would hear a welcome message. It's pretty obvious. We went to a recording studio. We did professional recordings for all of our messages with native speakers and stuff like that. So if you call, you would get a welcome message, and then if there is an agent available, you would directly go to an agent and you would speak to them. If there's not, you would hear a music that was, again, specially selected and stuff like that. You would hear a 10 seconds music, after which you will hear a short advert of our company, which is like, did you know that we upload 10,000 products every day? And stuff like that, like a short advert. And then obviously, at the moment an agent becomes available, this process would be stopped and you would directly go to the agent. But if there is no agent available, then this process would continue to music again for 30 seconds, at which point you would be offered the option to, you would hear a new message which would say, unfortunately, all of our agents are currently not available. If you'd like us to call you back, please press 1, otherwise please continue to hold. So at this point, the customer can press 1. We would say, thank you, we'll call you back as soon as possible, and disconnect the call. Or if they choose to continue holding, they would again hear music, then again the message to tell them to press 1 if they want to call back. And then this process would go for a maximum of 10 minutes. And this is it. That's our setup so far. So one of the challenges was to kind of put the ad messages in the middle of the holding music and to kind of play them randomly but with a different priority, which we've done. There are a few different adverts. Some of them are more important than others. So what we did was to kind of set up our build to play a random ad to each customer, but some of them more often than others. So ad number 1 would be played 40% of the times, then ad number 2 would be played 30% of the times, and then the other 3 ads that we have would be played 10% of the times. And this was again a piece of cake to make. The second challenge was that I wanted to have different priority of my agents from a certain language group.
Okay.
So I would have agents that are priority 1, and then I would have agents that are priority 2. And then if a calls come through, it would always first go to a priority 1 agent, and then if only there are no priority 1 agents available, it would go to a priority 2 agent, and then if both groups are unavailable at this point, it would go through the process that I've just described. So this was a bit of a challenge as well, but we've also accomplished that.
Do you update the tickets in Zendesk for what's happened on the call, or what kind of information is in the ticket when the agent gets it in Zendesk, gets the call in Zendesk? I mean,
the beauty of it is that right now we're using Cisco phones to receive inbound calls. So the second you pick up the phone, when it rings, a ticket is created and pushed onto you yourself.
Okay.
As an agent into Zendesk. If you have opened something else at this particular moment, Zendesk would like pop up, the Zendesk tab into your browser would like kind of pop up immediately. And then there are a few internal notes automatically pushed into the Zendesk ticket. So if the call gets missed, so not answered, the ticket won't go to an agent, but it would be tagged as a missed call, and it would say that we've received a call from this telephone number, the caller has dialed this telephone number, and then the call was not answered.
Okay.
If the call gets answered, then it would be pushed onto a certain agent, so you know who answered the call, and then it would again have a message to say we've received a call from this telephone number and they've dialed this telephone number. But the next thing would be the caller waited in the queue this many seconds before the call getting answered. And then there would be another message saying the call has ended. The caller was in the call altogether for this many seconds, so you know how much time the agent has spoken to the customer. And then once the call has ended, the latest internal note would be the recording of the call itself, which is beautiful as well.
You're using the eventing system, the events and action system to write stuff into the tickets, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like the recordings and the notes and so on.
Absolutely, okay. Yes, the recording and the notes, and I'm also relying on tagging my tickets. So when a call comes through, the tags that the call would receive would be whether or not it's an inbound or an outbound call, and then whether or not it's so which country is it from? Yeah. Depending on which telephone number the customer dialed, and then whether or not it's a call taken or a call missed. If it's a call missed, it can also have the tag callback requested, or if the customer didn't request a callback but simply hung up, then it wouldn't have this tag. And then if the call was taken, so out of business hours, obviously the only thing that happens is that the caller would hear a message saying it's out of our business hours, they are blah blah blah. Yeah. Please feel free to call us within these hours or email us at this email address. So the customer experience is not influenced by that at all, but I'm still having a ticket created. Maybe I wish to extend our business hours for our customer support team. I would want to have a report to say, okay, let's see how many calls we receive, whether or not it would be worth it. Then I would use this tag to say, let's see how many calls we receive from Poland out of business hours, so that we can decide whether or not to extend our business hours, right? So I've left this for now as well.
Okay, yeah, I see. Interesting. You've got you mentioned you were trying to do the simplest, most beautiful, kind of elegant setup, and which it is. It sounds nice, but I guess it kind of stacks up in complexity anyway, right?
There's yeah, absolutely. I realize I can speak about it a lot, but trust me, this is a simple simple build. To be honest, I've seen quite the more complex stuff.
And you mentioned also about the phones, which is interesting. So you've got desk phones, right?
Yeah.
How did you choose your telephony solution? Like what devices to use? And
when I came on board the company, this was already chosen. So I've decided to kind of leave it as it is for now, because my agents have already used them for quite a long time. I didn't want to make too many changes at once, so I've left these for now. It's working fine. We're using the Cisco desk phones with a headphone, so it's kind of similar to using a soft phone, so it's working fine for us. And provided that Zendesk and BABELFORCE are doing quite a lot of automations for us, we're doing quite fine without soft phones for now. The thing is, in our business, it's about the bigger percentage of our customers are returning customers, which would mean they already know, in most cases, our email address, our phone number, stuff like that. So we didn't want at all to change our phone numbers. So what we did was the second best thing, which would be to receive calls into our current provider and then forward them through SIP onto BABELFORCE, and it worked like a charm. And the transition was done within 5 minutes. Once I had the correct setup within BABELFORCE, I just gave my guy in the Bulgarian provider a phone call, just told him right now, just go ahead and start forwarding through SIP to the BABELFORCE address, and it just immediately worked like a charm.
And you mentioned about the recordings earlier, that you got professional recordings done. What was your experience with that, and do you have any kind of recommendations for people about how to plan for the kind of caller experience design and the recordings?
Yeah, I believe professional recordings are mandatory for any company. Please don't put classical music for your hold music as well. It's like, shoot me now, all customers are tired of this. There are websites where you can purchase like for $10 any kind of like really cool music. I'm not speaking about Jay-Z. Obviously, we don't want to pay huge amounts of money. Just choose something like, we're not being chill or a little bit playful or stuff like that, but just don't choose classical music. And then in terms of recordings, it's not expensive at all. Just find a recording studio. The difference is huge between recording a message for your customers on your iPhone, as I've done before, and then going to a professional studio. And then there's a very nice BABELFORCE help article that will tell you how to choose which messages to record, what format to record them into, and stuff like that. And just go and do it. It's just a one-day job, and then it's a much more professional experience for your customers. This level of automation and modern software, using such modern softwares, it's not only it doesn't only makes a great customer service for your company, but it also makes your life easier. But that's not the point. The point is that it kind of makes the life of your agents quite easier with all those automations.
I've heard from Will Connor and the delivery team that you're a master now at this no-code automation, that you could build anything. You're a black.
Absolutely.
Actually, he said you're a black belt.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.